Hello everyone, this is the CS Revelation and welcome to a new video on Java. Today's focus is the do-while loop. Now in the previous two videos we talked about the for loop and the while loop, and in this video we're going to focus on the do-while loop and see the difference between these three loops. Now the do-while loop, which is similar to the while loop somehow, but it is also different. So a while loop and a do-while loop do not necessarily iterate a specific number of times. However, it is guaranteed that the do-while loop will iterate at least one time because its control expression is placed at the bottom. So the control expression is placed at the bottom of the loop. This loop is useful when you want to guarantee at least one iteration, right? So like a while loop, a do-while loop is considered to be an indeterminate or indefinite loop because you only determine when the loop is going to exit or stop iterating at runtime, and it's only based on this control expression. So as long as this is true, it's going to keep iterating, but once this becomes false, this control expression, then it will exit out of the loop. But the only difference between a while loop and a do-while loop is that it is guaranteed a minimum of one iteration. So let's take a look at an example. So earlier in the while loop, this is the code that we use to print the word hello 6 times. Now this will print it 5 times. I just wanted to confirm. So this will print the word hello 5 times. Now let's achieve the same thing but using a do-while loop. Now with the do-while loop, you're going to start with the keyword do. You open the brackets to say this is the body of my loop, and what is the code that's going to be iterated? It's simply the printing process. So we're going to print the word hello. And our goal is to print the word hello 5 times, like I said. And at the bottom here, after the closing bracket, you're going to type the keyword while and the control expression and a semicolon later. But you want the control expression that's going to guarantee you 5 iterations. So we want. So first let's declare our I iterator. You can call it anything. I'm just using I. I'm going to start it at 1. And the control expression is going to be while I is less than or equal to 5, right? Put a semicolon here. Remember that in a while loop, you don't put a semicolon after the signature, but in the do-while loop, you do put a semicolon right here because that's the end of the loop's code. Now, when we run this, we should get the following. So what's happening here? So the do-while loop, it keeps running. So it is running because it is an infinite loop, which is similar to the same scenario that we had earlier with the while loop because we did not specify or we did not add a line of code that's going to change the value of I, because right now I is 1 and it's always going to be 1. And that means this is always going to be true. So we need to add another line of code that's going to change the value of I. Maybe we do I++. By the way, I++, or you can also do I equals I plus 1. So that's to increment I by 1. Now, if we run this, we're just going to get 5 prints of the word hello. And that is to achieve 5 repetitions. Let's assume that this control expression is false from the beginning. Say that I less than or equal to 0. Now, this is a false control expression. So that means it's not going to iterate because the I is always going to be greater than 0. And we're saying we want I to be less than or equal to 0 in order for this to execute. But like we said, that the do-while loop will guarantee a minimum of 1 execution. Let's see if it does that. So you see we got the word hello, but when we got here to check if we can iterate again, we have a false control expression. Therefore, we cannot iterate again. Now, if we go back to the while loop, by the way, if we make this a 0, that means this is false from the beginning, do you think we're going to have an iteration? I don't think so. So we're going to have a 0 iterations. That was just the result of that line. So 0 iterations, and we have no outputs. That means this was skipped, because this is a top checking loop. And top checking loop means it checks for the condition before executing anything. So therefore, this was false from the beginning. Therefore, this was skipped. And then we could go to the next line and execute. In the do while loop, even though that this is false from the beginning, but because we execute this first, then we check for the next iteration. So this was executed at the beginning, so we have a true condition at the beginning, but then later on, this is false. We found out that this is false, so therefore we cannot have an extra iteration. So this is this type of loop is called a bottom checking loop, because it checks for the condition at the bottom. Okay. So just to recap, that the control expression must evaluate the true in order for the do while loop to iterate after the first time, which is like the if statements and other kinds of loops. The curly braces are not required with the do while loop. If there's only a statement in one in the body of the loop, yeah, so like I said, so the curly brackets are also not required if you have only one expression in the body of the loop. But if you have multiple, then you need these brackets. Okay, so this was just a quick overview of loops. So 3 videos that we talked about the basics of for loops, while loop, and do while loop. In future videos, we're going to talk about more composite loops. That means we're going to talk about nested loops, so stay tuned for those. Also, check out some of the projects that I'm going to be posting to see some of the good uses of Java in the application development world. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one.